So our reporter is Manqoba Mchunu, who is out at a petrol station this evening. So Manqoba, good evening to you. Where are you? What are you seeing? Are you seeing a rush to the pumps? Let's face it, the petrol price increase is not as steep as it could have been, but the diesel increase is still pretty steep.
Indeed, Sally, we are here on Bears Nadir at the Caltex here in Northcliffe, and I can tell you, Sally, that it has been a mad rush for the past hour. It's quietened down a bit just now. I think many of the motorists might have filled in earlier, or they're still going to wait for the last minute to actually come and fill up their gas. But of course, I guess the petrol increase itself is not that steep this time around. But of course, many of the motorists that we spoke to earlier saying that they are hoping perhaps to save a rand or few just before that new adjustment kicks it in from midnight tonight. But I want to move this side, Sally, just to try and see if we can speak to some of the motorists, just to get a sense from them as to why they're here this morning. There are quite a number of cars that are coming in. Just a short while ago, we did see a long queue forming here at this particular petrol station. Siswami, if I can just ask you to put your window down. Okay, she seems a bit shy. So I'm going to move, Sally, and just check in with the next motorist if we can speak to her. How are you, ma'am? Are you good, ma'am? Yes, you are live on eNCA. I can see that you're filling up. Are you concerned about the petrol price?
Of course, yes. It's a lot of money we have to spend, but what? We're not going to have a choice, do we?
So, I mean, what does it mean? What will have to change for you? I mean, many of the people we spoke to saying that they're going to travel less now because of these constant fuel increases. How has it changed your life? How is it going to affect you?
I'm going to have to spend much more money because I'm in sales. I have to drive around a lot. So, yeah, I have to cut on something at home, social or something. But I don't have a choice. I'll have to pay more money.
Okay. Well, thank you for speaking to us. Well, that's a sense just from one of the drivers who are here. Of course, it's a sentiment, Sally, that has been shared by many of the who are saying that they'll have to dig deeper into their pockets, and some of them saying that they have to change the way that they do things because of this fuel increase. And we also spoke to the taxi industry earlier on, telling us that this is likely to also affect them. The reason for this is because you recall, Sally, that if the petrol goes up, this means that the taxi drivers themselves will actually have to foot from their own pocket some of those expenses that they incur on a daily basis without really making much of a profit. We went to Bara City earlier on, and they are telling us that they're not going to be changing or increasing the fare prices yet because at this particular point they have a regulated system that they have in place where they really look at the price changes. I think in July, the gentleman who spoke to earlier on said, and so they're not going to be raising the prices yet, which is a bit of a relief for some of the commuters. But of course, when you look at the transport sector in its entirety, you know that there are trucks that have to ferry food, so it trickles down really to even the basic foodstuffs that will really be going up as a result of this fuel increase. But of course, we know that it is temporary for now up until May, and so South Africans will really have to tighten their belts.
Yeah, and we know that cushion is only going to last for the 2 months. Thereafter, government is looking at a raft of measures to try and ease the pressure on the price of petrol and diesel. But we also know that government is looking at deregulation. And I'm wondering if you've had a chance to perhaps speak to the petrol pump attendants, perhaps even the manager on the forecourt where you are, just to get a sense of whether the industry is aware and perhaps concerned about any potential changes they might come along. You know, there's talk of competition coming in, deregulating the price of 93 fuel. Have you had a chance to speak to any people working in the industry?
Indeed, Sally, earlier on I did speak to one of the petrol station owners at a BP garage here in Kelland, of course asking him what his thoughts were around the issue of deregulation. And he did say to us that they're quite concerned about this. They don't think that deregulation will work for the industry, given that those major or the big chains of petrol stations are the ones that are actually going to benefit from this, and those in rural areas as well as those who who are, on a small scale will be the ones that will not benefit at all. And he even spoke of the fact that we might even find a situation where we have a monopolization of a certain sort into that, deregulation of fuel, saying that there might even be cartels that will take advantage of this situation to ensure that they benefit their own companies at the expense, of course, of the poor, at the expense of other smaller petrol stations. So there is a bit of a resistance from some of the petrol station owners, but of course, so we've not spoken to all of them. We've not spoken to the big chains about this. It's a sentiment that we've heard, certainly from the Fuel Retailers Association. They are saying that obviously they'll await to hear what government will have to say on this particular issue and take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that update. eNCA reporter Manqoba Mchunu.